Hey, if everyone could grab a seat, we can go ahead and get started. Thank you, everybody, for coming out this evening. We appreciate you taking the time out of your schedules. We know weeknights are normally family time or free time, and we appreciate you taking your free time to join us. We really value your input. The city values your input. We want to make this a fun night, and we want to make it useful for you as well. I'm Louis Cerna. I'm with Calvin Giordano and Associates, one of the city's consultants on this project. And with me tonight is our sub-consultants on the project as well, Pritchett Steinbeck Group, or PSG, Infrastructure Consulting Engineers, or ICE, and Lambert Consulting. They're part of the team, and we have representatives from PSG and ICE here tonight, and you'll meet them. Alan Steinbeck of PSG will also be presenting, so on behalf of all of us, we thank you. All right, so really, basically what we're going to be doing tonight is introducing the project, why we're here. We're going to present the survey results. You may be aware the city has an online survey regarding the comp plan. We're going to discuss the results that we have. Then we're going to have a time for interactive survey questions, sort of a fun exercise with you, and give you the opportunity to ask questions and have discussion. And then we're going to break out on the tables, and I know a lot of you have already been introduced to the topics there. We really want to flesh out and get more input on the format that we have set up at the workstations after this presentation. And if you're like me, you'll think of questions or comments later. And if you do, we want you to know this isn't your only opportunity for public input. There is a second public workshop scheduled for January 24th. We're going to build on a lot of the topics that we discussed this evening. The project website, myoldsmar.com, again, has the survey, and you can contact the planning department with any comments or questions, and they'll pass those along to the team. And then there will be the public hearing process to adopt the comprehensive plan recommendations. And I know this slide is hard to see, but this is basically where we are in the process. We are the middle red dot there. That's, if you can read it, says Countywide Stakeholder Meeting number 1. Again, we started with a survey that's been up on the website and will continue to be up. The team has been busy analyzing the data in the comprehensive plan. And then from that analysis, from your input, from the surveys, we're going to be preparing comprehensive plan and land development code recommendations. Those will ultimately be adopted by the city, hopefully, and the timeline for that is presentation to the city in July, August, and ultimately finish up for adoption in October. The red diamonds that you see there, or where we've identified the public has the opportunity to provide input. So again, there will be more opportunity for public participation. Hopefully this will get some ideas spurred in your mind. All right, the purpose of the comp plan. It's an essential feature of both short-term and long-term planning. The comprehensive plan is a state-mandated plan. Not very many people are familiar with it, and you'll see on the survey results. But that's fairly typical. The comp plan is mandated to contain goals, objectives, and policies. And the goals are basically your aspirations for the community. The objectives are the measurable steps or actions you'll take to achieve those goals. And then the policies are how you implement those objectives. And I'll just give you an example from the comp plan that's existing. Goal 1 of the future land use element is the city shall ensure that the residential/family character of the city of Oldsmar is maintained and protected. And then further on, there's some objectives that state, as an ongoing objective, the city shall ensure that land uses associated with development are reviewed for compatibility in accordance with the Land Development Code. That's the objective. And then the policies underneath that are in order to ensure that the growth takes place in the most efficient and effective manner possible. The City of Oldsmar shall manage growth through the Land Development Code. And there's a lot more detail on that. And the state also mandates that the comprehensive plan contain certain elements or topic areas such as future land use, environmental, coastal management, parks, transportation, infrastructure, I won't name them all, but the state mandates what needs to be in your comprehensive plan. The state also mandates that every 7 years that communities must update their comprehensive plan. So that's what the city is in the process of doing now by state law, updating their comprehensive plan. So we've been doing a lot of busy work checking to make sure it complies with current state law. There have been some changes to state law that the city's going to need to address in the comp plan to reflect changes in local and regional conditions, and to reflect the 20-year vision of the community. And that last bullet point is a lot of communities gloss over that, but the City of Oldsmar has wisely indicated that they really want this comp plan to be a reflection of the community's vision for the next 20 years. So we've established a 20-year planning horizon according to the plan. So again, we're thinking long term. Like I said, a lot of people are not familiar with the comp plan. They're familiar with the land development code, which is really what is used on a daily basis by many of the residents and by certainly the city every day. The land development code really implements what's in the comp plan. But again, the city has indicated they want to get community input, so to reflect the vision of the community. So what we're going to try to do is try to build on what's discussed in the survey, what's discussed tonight and in the next workshop, and try to distill that vision for the community for the comp plan. So survey results, how familiar are you with the comp plan? The highest percentage there is I'm somewhat familiar with the purpose of the comp plan and what it contains. Not a lot of people are greatly familiar with it, which is no surprise. It's a fairly typical response that we received on that. So hopefully we'll give you some more information on that and how it's relevant to the city. How long have you lived in Oldsmar? The highest percentage there, 6 to 15 years. So just trying to get some information about who's filling out the survey. All right, rank the following topics. 10 is most important, 1 is least important. I don't know if you can see that real well, but all of these responses, we rank these by the percent of the respondents who gave them a score of 6 or higher. So parks, rec, cultural activities, and these are groupings that we came up with. That was 97% of the respondents ranked that 6 or higher, which is a pretty high number, indicating it's very important to the community. Closely behind that, 92% infrastructure improvements. Environmental sustainability, 90%. Related to that is resiliency, 89%. Now, we didn't define these in the code. They're very much related, or in the survey, we didn't define these, but they're very much related topics, and a lot of people use them interchangeably. So the fact that they're ranked 90% and 89, rank this a score of 6 or higher, means that they're important. But when we're talking about sustainability, we're really talking about mitigating the effects of the environmental changes like climate change and greenhouse gases. Resiliency, as we understand it, and it's commonly used, is how do you live with these changes? What do you do to, we know the sea levels are going to rise in the next 50 years. How do we become more resilient to natural disasters, to sea level rise? So again, those terms are used a lot interchangeably. We do have a table that focuses on environmental issues. We understand that in the responses, we probably got a lot of similar responses thinking that they were the same thing, and they are very related, but slightly different. Sidewalks, 87%. Youth and teen activities, 84%. Historic preservation, 76%. Multimodal transportation options, 75%. Commercial retail development, 60%. And then finally, affordable housing, 56%. Again, all of those could probably be considered important because they got a score of 6 or higher, but definitely parks and rec was at the higher end, infrastructure, and then environmental issues. We then asked an open-ended question. What other topics should be addressed when planning for the next 20 years? So thinking 20 years out, what other topics should the city be considering? And if you can't read those in the back, the one the one receiving the highest number of responses, resiliency, sustainability, and environmental issues. And these were open-ended questions, so we had to go through and summarize and categorize these, and we did the best to categorize them and group them as best we could, because a lot of people had very, very long answers or multiple answers, but we did try to put those in some sort of format. And so the responses that were repeated received 10 or more responses. We put on the screen. We received quite a bit more of other responses that didn't make the 10 or above cut. But again, resiliency, sustainability, and environmental were the highest. Growth, development, land use issues received 19 responses. Traffic, transportation, and transit, 18. Infrastructure, drainage, flooding, 16. Bicycle, pedestrian, neighborhood connectivity, 14. Public school facilities, education, 12. Park, rec, and facilities, 14. And so I think of the questions that we put in the survey, they're all covered under the open-ended questions with the exception of growth, development, and land use. So definitely growth, development, and land use will be addressed in the comp plan. These are broad topic areas. There is a future land use element that's a part of the comp plan that will address those issues. But we wanted to make sure we were touching on all the topics. And I think based on the responses we received, that all of these issues are addressed in the current comp plan. And we'll continue to be addressing this, but it might give you an idea of what's important to the community based on the survey. All right, how would you rate the quality of life in Oldsmar? 51% good, 37% excellent. So I think it's pretty good. Vast majority, I think the quality of life in Oldsmar is good and excellent. So thinking 20 years out, we need to consider how we need to keep those scores up. Would you recommend Oldsmar as a place to check all that apply? So we took multiple answers on this one. So a lot of people recommended, these are numbers, not actual percentages. Good place to live, work, play, raise a family, retire. Do you think Oldsmar is changing for the better or worse? Slight majority, 53%. Think it's changing for better or somewhat better, which I think that's pretty positive. And then a couple more open-ended questions. What are your biggest concerns about the future of Oldsmar? And again, open-ended, so we had to categorize and summarize. But by far the biggest area of concern was uncontrolled growth, too much growth, too fast growth. 41 people responded to that with that response. Environmental sustainability, preservation, 14. Traffic and roads, 12. Lack of downtown development, 12. Loss of community character, again, 12. So a lot of the interrelated concerns. And then infrastructure, 11. So interesting. And we're going to build on some of these in our discussions and at the workstations. And then what would you change in Oldsmar? Open-ended. People mentioned bike, pedestrian, and neighborhood connectivity. The neighborhood connectivity, that came up as in a previous response, open-ended question. We did hear a lot of things on the responses to the survey on open-ended about we need a better way to get to the downtown over 580 Tampa Road, connect this neighborhood, make it easier to get to by a bike or pedestrian, or even golf carts. Just connect the community. So I think we're gonna build on that with some of the workstations when you look at areas of concern and opportunities for bicycle, pedestrian connections. Improve the downtown, improve/develop the downtown. What would you change about Oldsmar? 16 responses. And again, we pared these down to anything 5 or above. A lot of people wanted to see more active retail, restaurant, more gathering areas, coffee shops. They didn't specify where, so we just put that as its own category. And then environmental sustainability and preservation keeps coming up as a topic. So I think that's what we're going to talk about, building on that with some strategies. Those are the results of the survey. I want to turn it over to Alan now. He's going to do some interactive discussions with you all, more survey questions. We're going to build on a lot of these. Some of these are repeated from the survey, but really just to prompt your mind to thinking about these issues and how they relate to the overall vision for the comp plan. Again, we're thinking 20 years out. Alan?
Thanks, Louis. And thank you all for being here. So the first survey that Louis has just been over really was focused on what you all value as a community, what the community's like now, what are some of the issues that exist, and some of the things you want to resolve in Oldsmar. But we wanted to move into the next phase of conversation, which is really about that vision. What do you want this community to be? And what do we want to change, and what can we do about it? So the plan is that framework for growth and change, and within that plan, the vision is something we want to establish. To do that, we're having the two-part remainder of the meeting tonight, which is this interactive tool. You will need your phone, or I imagine, is there anybody who does not have a phone on them or a tablet on them? Okay, you can use my phone, or someone from the team could volunteer their phone to you. These days, almost everyone rolls around with this as part of their person. But you will go to menti.com, menti.com. And what you're going to do is enter this code, 2922-9993. Some of you, if you're a cat person, you can hit the cat button. Well, there's also the love button that lets us know you're already on here. Let's see. Got 10 cat people, more cat people than lovers. So you can maybe be both, I guess, too. And you should, once you do this, have something on your phone that says instructions, which is this slide that we're on. You want to borrow my phone? Back there? Okay. Yep. So on this, if you have questions for us, you can ask us in person. Or also, I'm going to get my water, yeah. There's this open Q&A. If you're just kind of shy, you'll see on your phone it says open Q&A, and that'll allow you to open a question. Yeah, great time to lose my voice. Is anybody struggling and not there yet?
It's loading.
It's loading.
The open page.
Okay. You might want to turn off your Wi-Fi. That always helps me. Yeah, sometimes my Wi-Fi gets confused and my service is better. That's a general hot tip. Okay, so you will see if you're behind a little bit at the top, there is the menti.com and the code up there if you're trying to catch up, 2922-9993. Okay, and the cat people have it. So these are going to go one by one here. This is sort of an icebreaker question to make sure everybody's in line. Oldsmar was at one time known as Brooker Heights, Tampa Shores, or North Tampa Bay. And you'll see, don't shout out the answer because then everyone will know what the right answer is. Okay, and I'm going to give everybody a minute to do this, and I'll probably move this one kind of fast, but I want to make sure everybody has some time to answer these questions. Somehow nobody thought it was Brooker Heights. Okay. It's up there at the top, 2922-9993. Okay, I'm going to move on now to the substantive questions here. This one requires a little skill. Indicate where you live on the map. You'll see a dot there. Put your finger on it, and you can kind of drag it around. Close enough is okay. Once it's in kind of the right place, you'll hit submit. If you don't live on this map, like me, you can move your dot up to the corner there. You can see me doing it and hit submit. Okay. Yeah, this is the hardest thing you'll do tonight. Is this one right here. And if you're thwarted by this, we have maps and stickers in the back. You can do that on the map with this. So we got a cluster of people living in the heart of town here. A couple of people down on the peninsula. One person north of Tampa Road, looks like. Could give us another second. And you can see we are getting a couple of questions here. We'll deal with those at the end, and we'll also have sort of a hand-raising session as well. Next question, where do you work? In Oldsmar, inside Pinellas County, but not within the city? In Hillsborough, in Pasco, or other? Or you could be retired or a student. Okay, good percentage of Oldsmar workers here. A lot of folks in Hillsborough, and a good chunk of you all retired or not working. A little surprised that inside inside Pinellas County, not in Oldsmar, is only 7%. That I would think that more of you would be working here in the county than that. Okay, great. I'll keep moving. We're asking again your tenure of residence here, if you have lived here or if you don't live here, because we want to associate these questions. This is obviously anonymous, but we know based on tenure what people are asking, and we'll be analyzing some of that kind of stuff as we look at the findings here. Remember the other one, I think the biggest percentage was 6 to 15 years. Looks like we got a lot of people here who are in the 10-plus year time frame here. And I've met some of you already who've lived here much longer than 10 years. Great, and you all are moving fast. This is good. What part of the Oldsmar community do you represent? Select all that apply. Are you a resident, business owner? Do you work here, own property that's other than your home, like rental property or commercial property? If you answer none of the above, come see me directly after this and find out what you're doing here. Okay. You're one of the fastest audiences I've ever done this with. Describe Oldsmar in 1 or 2 words. Okay, this is going to take a minute, but think about when you think of Oldsmar, you can put a 1-word answer, 2-word answer, and you can submit more than one. I think it allows you to do 3. So I'm going to give you a second to think about this. Be thoughtful. And we're going to make a word cloud together. Hidden treasure, I like that. I think people who haven't visited here don't realize some of the assets that exist here in Oldsmar, for sure. And the bigger the word, the more people have said this. So more people have said community than anything. I think they're probably saying like friendly community. Or maybe some phrases like that. But the fact that community comes to mind and how you describe yourself is important in several different ways. So home, friendly, parks. We're going to hold you to that friendly when we get to the tables. Just know that we'll make a point of doing that. Beautiful. Great, we got almost everybody. Quaint, I think that's quite true. And quiet. So this is important. It's not just kind of fun, but we're going to be crafting a vision statement for the plan, and the words that you all use and the feedback that you all use will become part of the vision, which is the highest level of framework that the plan has, the goals, and the wording that we use in the plan is very important because these words that we're hearing tonight will get translated into plan policy and the words that go into the update that we're doing. So that is why we're doing this. It's not just an independent exercise. We really want to translate what we're hearing from you all into real-world policies that are going to shape the community. And community still being the number one word that people typed in here. And I think we're done. What are Oldsmar's strongest quality of life attributes? You all said, I'm imagining many of you took the survey online, and you rated this place as having a very high quality of life. So why is that? I believe you can submit a couple of different answers here. I know this is a little bit tedious, but this is really actually a fast and effective way to get a bunch of feedback from you all at the same time here. So I know typing in is not always the most fun thing to do. Quiet neighborhoods, close to a bit of everything. Biking and parks. Parks and water are relaxing. Family trend, family feel. You know, I noticed visiting here, I always go to the grocery store to see what a place is like. So I noticed in Publix, there are a lot of young families, families with babies, and younger people here in Oldsmar, which you don't see in every community. There are a lot of them. So there's definitely a mixed generation, mixed age feel to this place, which is great. Playgrounds, close to parks. Neighborhood, not development. Yes, the neighborhoods are very well kind of set aside and quiet. That's for sure. It's safe. Okay. I'll keep going. If you fall behind and you want to answer, you can always keep going and go on to the next slide when you're ready to do that. So this is about opinion, whether you strongly agree or disagree with these statements. Oldsmar offers housing that is affordable, desirable to all age groups, diverse in terms of size and type. So you're going to use that little slider on each of these answers to gauge what you think about this. And what we're doing here is taking the average of everybody's responses, obviously. And when you see that 3.8 or 4, that means the average that people score. And the little waves indicate whether people strongly associate with that number or whether it's sort of all across the board like the one in the middle. So I hope we can, when we get into conversation with you all, after we break out and talk about affordability a little bit, you did rank affordable housing as not one of your top issues of concern. Many places around the region and the state, that's sort of like number one, it's affordable housing. So why is that not such a big deal here? And what should we do about it? Because some people do struggle from this topic. So on this one, looks like desirable to all age groups. People strongly agree with that most. And a close second there is diverse in terms of size and type of housing. And then affordable sort of bringing up the rear, but not really that far behind, quite frankly. What types of housing are most needed in Oldsmar? Select all that apply. Townhouses, single-family homes, large-scale multifamily, small-scale multifamily, duplexes, triplexes, or quads, Senior housing is already getting a couple of votes here. Mixed use projects with housing or accessory dwelling units. Accessory dwelling units being those smaller units that get built on a lot, a second residence on a lot.
Can you explain mixed-use projects with housing?
That may be an example of that is to have a commercial use on the ground floor and residential above it, or to have an apartment building that has, shops in the bottom floor, something like that. Okay, so far townhouses and single-family homes are getting the most votes here. Hard to say where we would put more single-family homes. I know there's a lot of home renovation going on and some rebuilding on lots in town, but followed up by mixed-use projects and senior housing. We've almost got everybody in the mix here. All right, townhouses got 13 and single-family 11, mixed-use project with housing 10, and senior housing 9. Lowest was large-scale multifamily. Somebody wants that, but only one of you. In your opinion, Oldsmar offers, and this is related to transportation, again, this is whether you agree strongly or strongly disagree, transportation options for people who cannot or choose not to drive, sidewalks and streets that are safe to walk on, and a road network that functions well for vehicles. I do think Oldsmar is pretty easy to get around. There's no sort of intersection that you dread going through necessarily. I know there's a lot of traffic out there on Tampa Road, but otherwise, that's a pretty well connected place. All right, and people I think agree with that assessment, looks like, with that one at the bottom there getting the most in this agree or strongly agree category. And the not agree, I wonder sort of what you are referring to, thinking of transit being one thing that people rely on when they can't or do not choose to drive. So a lot of people have rated that rather low. Okay. And this is sort of getting into the segue. There's two remaining questions that's going to lead us into the discussion. One of the things that we have maps that include, and Louie's going to explain this in a little more detail, but we have maps and we also have a vision board in the back. But I want you to respond to this. What changes would you like to see in Oldsmar in the immediate future? And we're talking about the next couple of years. So think about something that actually can realistically happen. Because I'm about to ask a question about the next 20 years, which is a longer term view, but we're thinking about like now, in the now time frame. What would you like to see as soon as it can possibly happen? Protection of wetlands, downtown development, public pool, walking bridge over Tampa Road.
Do you submit after each one, or do we have to pack it all in one and then submit?
You can submit 3 of these, I believe, yes. You should have, you can submit multiple answers. And in fact, it's better to hit enter and then hit another one. Small family-run shops, that would be good. Downtown gatherings. I'm not reading every one of these. We'll keep a record of these and publish this feedback that we've gotten here. More use of local shoreline, i.e. kayaking. Interesting. Senior condo affordable living. Safer sidewalks. What's this one over here? Fixing of potholes and more little shops near something that's off the page. We'll get to that. All right, thank you. And here, the last question. What would you like Oldsmar to be in the next 20 to 30 years? And don't think small here. Think about what are the transformational things that could make Oldsmar a better place? If you have a vision for that or a desire for that, Where do you want this to go? The hub of Tampa Bay. You know, Oldsmar is not super close to a whole lot of places, but close enough where it is sort of central to many things that you can get to. It puts it in that best kept secret category, I think, for a lot of people who don't think about being here or locating here, but it is locationally efficient to a lot of parts of the region. Fun place, downtown activities, connected to public transportation, small community close to fun stuff, so keeping the community small, maintain the hidden treasure, some sort of maintenance of place comments in here. Fully walkable city, which has a vibrant downtown that retains its small town feel and historic charm. Green, self-reliant, connected. Great. Can I give this another second? And what we're going to do is start to translate some of these words into the vision, but as you all talk, please do visit us at that back table at the vision map. Okay, I'll leave this up for a minute, and we're done with the feedback part. So, Louis, do you want to take it up about next steps on the conversation?
Sure. All right, thank you, everybody. It's interesting to see. As Alan indicated, we do want to we do want to help the city develop a long-term vision for the community. So we do have a table back in the back that discusses the vision. Environmental and sustainability issues came up as a topic, so we do have a table that's dedicated to that back there. The city has a resiliency plan. We want to recognize that work has already been put towards that, but we want to consider whether or not we are considering all options, if there's anything else that needs to be included in the plan. Not only were we looking big picture as far as the vision goes, but we also want to talk about some strategies for implementing or achieving the vision. So we do have the tables back there. We'll be milling about the team, and we can help explain some of those. I know some of you have already been to the tables. Be glad to help you out with any of those. And thanks again for your participation. So I think that concludes our presentation, and we'll break out into individual discussion at this point. Thank you.
Do you want to take questions in general?
Oh, yeah, I guess if anybody has any
on here, but
questions from the floor. Oh, yes.
Yeah, I guess, we're talking about revising the 20-year comprehensive plan. I guess just wondering what kind of form that would take. Is it eventually going to be worked up into something codified that, council will vote on and become part of our city code, or what kind of is the final document or approval of that comprehensive plan?
Yeah, the city does have a comprehensive plan, and as you know, a lot of people don't know about it. So it will be adopted, accepted by the city council. They will adopt the new updated comprehensive plan. So yeah, it will be an official document.
Right, and there's like a schedule that it has to be done by, or it's just generally?
Yeah, we need to submit the draft to the state by August, and then it comes back after they comment on it in October next year.
What type of community input goes into that? Oh, sure. What type of community input goes into that? Is it just the results of the survey and the discussions at these meetings?
Yeah, based on the discussion that we have, we need to come up with actual goals, objectives, and policies. We're going to be building a lot on what's already in the plan. And I do have a copy of the existing comprehensive plan if you want to look and see what's in it. But a lot of what we're going to be doing is making sure that what's already in there reflects the community's vision. So we're going to be coming up with the actual verbiage. The next workshop that we have, I think we're going to come up with that. We're going to refine the input we've had and come up with an overarching vision for the community that people will have input on at that next workshop. So yeah, and then it'll actually be put into text, which will be the comp plan, and that'll get adopted by the city.
We had a question, what will be discussed during the January workshop? You mentioned the revised vision text. Is there something else?
Yeah, I think we're going to take what the information that we received tonight and sort of refine that and see if we have any follow-up questions. We don't have, the exact questions that we're going to be asking at that meeting, but a lot of what we're going to be doing is following up and then revising the vision.
I have a question. The survey that you talked about, I apologize, I was a little bit late coming in, but I never saw a survey, and I don't know how many residents are in Oldsmar, but I'm just thinking that in the future, I would think that we would want to get at least 50% response, and I don't know, maybe we need to come up with a better way so that more people are aware and they can all participate in the survey, because I have a feeling that there's a lot of people that aren't being represented here.
Yeah, certainly, and we understand. We did want to have the surveys available before this workshop so we could start developing themes and topics. But the survey is going to remain up. If we'll spread the word as best we can. It's on the website, myoldsmar.com. We'll continue to take input and see if there's significant change on that.
I'm just wondering, like, for instance, when we get our sewer bill, okay? If maybe, something could be put on that, or maybe a flyer could be stuffed in, make your voice count for Oldsmar, please, go into here and answer our quick survey, something like that. I didn't even know that this was a thing.
Yeah,
and I know a lot of people don't just arbitrarily go on the website.
Yeah, no, and we'll work with the city on getting more exposure to that. It did go out in the Oldsmar magazine that everyone gets. There was a page on it there. But yeah, we'll talk to the city if there's any ideas to getting the word out more. And I think the city has expressed an interest in, since this is a 20-year plan, on getting the people who are going to be affected by this the most, which are younger people. So we do want to have some focus groups with younger people to find out, to get their input, which I think is a very great idea that the city is looking at.
You're mentioning the 20-year comprehensive plan, the current one that you're attempting to modify. Is that available on the website so we could read it? We don't have to go to City Hall and take a look at it and check it out at the library?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do not think it's available, but I'll see if we can get it put up there. I think it's one of those. It's a very lengthy document and not something that most people would peruse, but I'll see if we can do that. That's good input, and we can see about having a link to that.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. I want to second that comment about advertising it, whether it's street signs or a stamp on the utility bill. I think definitely need more input. Two questions. Did the state law changes that you're having to conform our plan to, are any of those making a very significant change to the city plans? And the second question is, I don't know if you know, last year there was a lot of referendum or just a lot of local city council meetings related to a downtown development and a library area one. There was a lot of strong opinions, pro, against. Did you discern anything from all the input that you got about where the community, what did it point to any preferred solution to that?
Yeah, and we are aware of those efforts, the city vision for that small area of the downtown that's city-owned. We do have that. We're going to keep that in mind. We want everything to be consistent. Regarding state law changes, a lot of it's old references to state law, no significant changes. I think the state has, in certain aspects, has become less restrictive, so certain things are now optional as far as Oldsmar's comp plan goes. The city did already adopt a property rights element, which was mandated by state law. That was fairly recent. fairly recent addition to the comp plan, so they're on top of it there. But really, we're doing a lot of just technical, deleting old references and things like that.
Any I don't know, any indication of what the community wants about for that downtown or library compared to what was proposed last year?
I mean, we don't see a conflict as far as the vision that's been developed already for that downtown area and the feedback we received. So we don't want to duplicate that effort, but we do want the comp plan to be consistent with that.
Hi, I live in Forest Lake, and we have Brooker Creek trees behind us that are old and falling down, and there's plenty of land there. Is that like preserved that we can never touch that?
Not to my knowledge, and I think that's been a. Oh, it is. Oh, not it never can be touched. Yeah, I'm not sure if I guess not developed really is I guess what I was getting at, but I'm not sure if more can be done to allow trails or access or enjoyment of that. I don't know, but that topic has come up before because it's a huge chunk of the city. You know, certainly we wouldn't. Yeah, certainly we wouldn't recommend actual development of it, but.
And there, you know, now that there's hurricane season, those trees back there are old and they come right down on your house. Mm-hmm. Not only my house, but a lot of that area.
Okay, yeah, I'd be interested in seeing where your property lies in relationship to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're very close. It sounds like.
Oh, it's very close.
My question is, will City of Oldsmar be annexing any more property, you know, as far as the city limits and the preserve as far as the wild animals?
As far as annexation goes, I think the comp plan could address potential areas of where the city could annex. I haven't seen that come up as an issue of concern yet, but if there is consensus to address something like that, if there is an area that could be annexed and should be annexed for a certain reason, that could be a goal in the comp plan, for example. And preserving areas for wildlife, that was a topic that came up quite a bit, preserving green space, preserving areas. So I think we definitely want to make sure that that ideal gets incorporated into the plan.
I'm wondering, when you do the questions on the survey, is there a way for you to discern where about that survey is coming from in Oldsmar? Because I know that in the area where I live, if there's a square inch that isn't developed already, it's because you would have to knock a house down to put another one up. But I understand that there's other parts of Oldsmar that, it's too much. It's going too fast. And I'm just wondering if you guys are taking into consideration as you're putting these in a priority, whereabouts the answers to these questions are coming from.
Yeah, the purpose of the survey was to be more general. We do want to look for themes and topic areas of concern. I think the breakout areas, we do have maps where you can identify, and we're going to refine, where certain things should be. And we have the opportunity for the people who are here tonight to put locations on the map where they'd like to see certain things or where they wouldn't like to see certain things. So yeah, we're sort of refining that a little more by tonight's meeting.
Hello, I was wondering, with your comprehensive plan, our sewage plant that we have, I would say it could be, 40 years old? But anyway, I was just making sure, in the comprehensive plan, is the upgrades being done, or you're looking forward to when the population in Oldsmar continues to grow? We're at 15,000 right now, so I don't know how we're going to build out. When I came in 1978, so almost 44 years ago, there was a lot of dirt roads and everything, and if you get back into the 70s, I think it was the state-of-the-art water treatment plant. So you go back to the 70s and you go forward, almost 50 years. I just think it's real important so we don't turn out to be a city that's south of us in the county, where if they have problems, it goes into Tampa Bay and and all. So I think that's important. So.
Yeah, the comp plan does have a whole element based on infrastructure, water, sewer, drainage, et cetera. And we do have, there's a lot of data behind that, including population projections, because those policies behind that have to be backed up by data. So if a projection is for the city to grow by a certain amount, the infrastructure has to be in place to accommodate that. So that is being considered, it has been considered. We do have, we've been working with the Public Works folks, and we do have ICE consultants here tonight that are working specifically on that area.
And the electrical grid for power outages.
Oh yeah, and that's sort of maybe along the lines of sustainability as well.
Because more and more housing,
yeah,
why it's more.
And making sure we can accommodate growth in the city. So.
Oldsmar is about 8 square miles, if I'm right.
I gotta get you on audio. Sorry.
Yeah, we're trying to get the questions.
If I'm correct, Oldsmar is 8 square miles. If I'm correct, I'm not sure. 10.
10. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say it looks about. I don't know exactly. That is part of the future land use element. We do have it broken down by categories and totals. But yeah, I hear it's 10. So.
This is more or less maybe more specific, and maybe this is something that you are addressing in the smaller breakout sessions. But like the lady over here said, when I moved here, Tampa Road was like 2 lanes, and it is growing and growing, and our residents live right on Tampa Road, and I don't know if they have started considering or taking into account some kind of like a wall, a barrier of some sort for noise, like they have in Tampa and things like that, because, I mean, I can see Tampa Road becoming an interstate in 20 years, and nobody wants to have an interstate in their backyard.
Yeah, and we do have a transportation element in the comp plan as well. We do get details as far as what can be done and in the future. As you know, Pinellas County, for the most part, you really can't widen roads anymore. So we're either going to have to live with a lot more traffic or come up with some other alternatives for getting people around. Yeah, and I saw you do the hand motion up. Yeah, that's a tough sell. It's very expensive to do. People hate it. So yeah, it's not done in a lot of areas, but yeah, that will be a part of the transportation planning. I think that can be addressed at the workstation as well, as far as area of concern.
Sure. Yep. Why not?
Okay, so you talked about comprehensive plan, this huge document that's going to go on a shelf somewhere, right? How does it go from being a plan to actionable items?
Yeah, and that's really, as a planner, that's always been one of my pet peeves, is when you do plans and people come out and put a lot of work into it, that it does get put on the shelf, doesn't get implemented. And I think the city doesn't want that either. They really want this to be a reflection of the community's desires. How we do that, I think, is through the public input process. The comp plan, like I said, a lot of it's implemented through the land development regulations. So you'll see a lot of language in there that the land development regulations will address X, Y, and Z, getting real specific. And then down the road, usually there's a timeline associated with it. The city, if they want to be consistent with their comp plan, will make those changes to the comp plan. So there are implementing steps. And again, that's definitely what the city does not want, is for it to be used as a doorstop or put on a shelf and never referred to again. So we want to make this an active plan that reflects what the community wants. And we really want to be respectful of your time coming out.
I have another question about the traffic. The resident crossing Tampa Road, it caters more to the through traffic coming from, other counties and rather than the city residents. Will they take into account for the residents being able to cross Tampa Road in a timely manner? Because, you go up to the intersections and it's catered more to Tampa Road than the residential area.
Yeah, and I think that's good input. I think Tampa Road really does serve Pinellas County and Tampa, and it doesn't really serve the needs of Oldsmar, and I've heard that a lot through feedback. And I think when the comments we received on the survey about connecting the downtown and connecting neighborhoods, about you're taking your life in your own hands if you want to walk across it or ride a bike across it. So I think we need to explore those a little more and make it more something user-friendly to the residents of Oldsmar.
And I do sit on the Board of Adjustment for the City of Oldsmar.
Okay. Interesting. Anything else? We're going to be hanging out talking if you want to ask us more questions, and really good feedback tonight and good questions. But yeah, feel free to go to the stations and ask questions.
Same thing over here. Don't do twice.